to the Wrestling Fan at Wrestling Show. I'm the big beefy boy Shaz Beef, and today I'm joined by my fellow Marks, my fellow old buck, Oosh. That's Morro, of course, and Johnny the Beast Mortos. How are you boys?
Good.
You were holding the ship quite steady there with your AEW Revolution review.
We were, and then we think we got shadow banned on the internet because we cursed or something so much.
Yeah, you were talking about, I think this was a screwdriver, or no, thumbtacks to the dick.
Yeah. And
maybe we shouldn't talk about it now. We'll get shadow banned again.
In our first 10 seconds.
Are we cursing too much? Are we actually cursing too much?
One of our posts definitely got shadow banned.
We've been punished by the internet.
Yeah, the internet punished us there. One of the posts.
We've getting a good few people giving out. I had someone on a really, really old, what's happening in the wrestling world? You know those videos? Someone on like one I did in October, someone just commented.
But they're so topical, it's weird to go back and watch an old one.
Yeah, but it might just pop up on someone's feed. They watch it. So someone wrote under it going, old news. I'm like, what gave that away? The fucking date?
Look at the date it was posted. You mark.
Another person started giving us crap for the New Jack clip, where we were like, why is New Jack in the WWE game? He like straight up tried to kill people.
Yeah.
And he's like, tell the whole story. I'm like, what's that? The whole and then he called us Brits.
This Brit thing keeps happening.
I'm sorry, John. You're more esteemed to be associated with...
I didn't have any opinions on New Jack. Like, I have loads of opinions on New Jack, but...
you weren't here for that episode.
I wasn't.
Like, you're getting called a Brit now as well.
It's basically...
just by association.
Yeah.
I don't think that doesn't carry.
The Brits will take you.
Yeah. You can be a Brit.
Your AEW Revolution review, though, I listened to it. Two of the biggest AEW marks, huh?
It was a great show. It was a great show.
No, it was a good show. I had a few thoughts. I was like, and that's what's great about the podcast. Like, you're talking, and I'm like, yeah, but what about this? Yeah. But what about that?
Well, you got to show up if you want to speak, Shaz.
Yeah, that's the way. Or I can just get you shadow banned on the internet.
He got a shadow banned. He posted the one clip that got a shadow banned.
I thought it was a good clip. I thought it was a good podcast.
It was a good podcast, yeah.
It was actually, before we get into today's topic, what did you make of the John Moxley spot?
The back spot?
Where he got the suplex onto the
I thought it was
spikes.
I liked
it. I thought it was pretty gnarly. Yeah,
it was cool.
I was like, is there a way they did that? Or
it looked properly dangerous and fucking mad.
I have heard that they used glue on
the spikes.
On the spikes. To get that effect of the skin stretching out when they're trying to pull it off.
It didn't puncture him, did it?
It did puncture him too, but that they used glue.
I accidentally got like super glue in my fingers the other day, and it's like there's a
day. Doing arts and crafts.
There's a day of just
discomfort,
wreckage,
and you're like your hard skin and
it's horrible trying to bite it off. Maybe I take scissors to this.
Like all you can do there is just right off the day.
Why would you do that to your back?
Because it's John Moxley.
Yeah.
What did you think of it, Chaz?
I just John Moxley's doing John Moxley things.
Yeah, it's like what you expect. It's John Moxley in a street fight. Like,
doing John Moxley things.
Like, people on the internet go, "Oh, this is disgrace." I'm like,
I thought it was innovative.
Yeah, it was. It was different. Like, well, it's
probably not innovative because it was done like FMW kind of stuff, but like never done on that stage and that
visceral.
I just think they haven't done that stuff for a while. Like they didn't do it. I mean, early days, fucking Nick Cage running pizza slicers over
but they went
hard enough.
They have since Darby's like dive off the ladder through the glass. They've been like ramping stuff up. They've been trying to set someone on fire with a flamethrower.
I'm all game for setting people on fire.
Jack Perry tried to straight up run over him with a truck.
They've done some pretty good stunts.
They obviously Hangman Swerve. Actually, the one thing about Revolution I didn't enjoy was the screwdriver spot, and he brought it up going, "Oh, would have meant more." But I was like, he stabbed him in the gut with a screwdriver, and there's like no marks or
pierce him.
Yeah. That was my only thing.
Like if a 250-pound man swings a screwdriver, it's going to pierce.
Because I thought Will Ospreay was doing something really clever because there was a load of blood on his face.
Yeah.
So I thought when he'd be taking the blood from his face, and then when he got up, he was after smearing the blood in it, like where he would have been stabbed, and I was like, oh, that would have been really cool.
Yeah.
But no, it didn't happen.
I saw him hiding like packets of
ketchup
in his pocket, like little sachets back into his pocket. I caught him. I mean, I was like, "There's something in this. Just a bit of red plastic."
Use your tinfoil hat on for that, did you?
Yeah, he's not blading. He's getting ketchup.
It's just squirting it all over.
Did you used to watch those kind of wrestling secret shows?
All the time.
Go through it?
Remember they were on Sky One back in the day.
Yeah. Was it ever found out who did it? Was Harley Race involved in those, I think?
Was he?
I think so.
Harley Race was.
I think so.
Not Harley.
Harley Race broke kayfabe.
Yeah.
No.
I think there was something with Harley involved.
I would think that Harley would like murder some guy who broke kayfabe.
Yeah.
Well, look, maybe
Harley was one of the biggest proponents of it.
But maybe Harley, like, that was like, you know, Harley's.
He ran on hot
getting
hands,
old.
baby.
He's getting old. He wants to cash
Secrets,
in.
mysteries,
Conspiracies.
conspiracy theories of wrestling.
Lads, you're getting good at these segues.
What? Wait, what?
You tried to segue earlier. You segue now. As the title suggests, we're talking about conspiracies in wrestling.
Wrestling conspiracy
First off,
theories.
Do you think it's real?
Wrestling?
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Wrestling's
Still real to me,
Still
damn
real
it.
to me, pal.
Look at me.
Yeah, wrestling's real. You can't fake a backdrop, John.
You can't.
You can't.
You can't fake a blindfold match.
You
You certainly can't fake a blindfold.
You wouldn't
match.
steal a car. You wouldn't steal a fish.
So what's up first?
Why would you steal a movie?
What are we dissecting?
The Montreal Screwjob, was it a work or not?
This is episode 1 in a 20-part series.
Just on the Montreal
we're going to
Screwjob.
skim over Montreal.
Yeah.
Oh man, there is about, this could be a series, there is about 600 conspiracies that
So
we've
this
compiled.
is an actually like fairly entrenched conspiracy theory that's been
This one's
going around
bonkers
for a
to me.
long time.
Yeah, this one's bonkers to
which
me.
numerous high-profile people have corroborated, but also the people who have are kind of
Carnies. Trolls,
Or
yeah.
in the case of Scott Hall,
I was going to
definitely
say,
a troll.
Scott Hall kind of, he was the first big proponent
I
of
think
it,
he was
he?
fucking around with people.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just Scott Hall, like, he was notorious for fucking with people.
But like, I feel like everybody involved would be so happy for that to be considered
work. Yeah, but none of them did.
So basically, the thought process behind it is that Vince couldn't afford to pay
Brett's 20 million, 20-year contract.
Yeah, big, massive contract for 20 million. So he helped engineer the deal for him to go to WCW. And basically, they came up with this storyline then to make it, you know, Bret hot when he was leaving and WWE hot when he was leaving. So therefore, it was just all engineered. And a great way around the whole Shawn Michaels kerfuffle that seemingly was real with Bret.
Well, that definitely was real.
But like the thoughts that was a work also kind of still has effects to this day with like Brawl Out, because a lot of people thought that was a work.
Yeah.
And something kind of similar happened, fights between people. You know, you're kind of like, oh, is that a work? But I think that stems back
Like,
from
I mean,
Montreal.
it would be like the ultimate art of like pro wrestling kind of
Yeah,
kayfabe.
yeah, true.
If like somebody engineered this storyline, just or this idea, this concept,
And the fact
and
that
go, hey, there's going to be a payoff like in 20 years time,
and the
30 years time.
But the fact that there was a documentary crew
Yeah.
filming
that's the
as
thing.
well
That,
with
that's the thing that
Wrestling with
negates it
Shadows.
for me. I
But
mean,
they'd been there for nearly a year at that
Yeah,
stage.
but they needed a perfect.
End point.
Yeah.
yeah, there's something to be said in that. And then obviously, you know, if Brett and Vince were conspiring, they knew there was other cameras that they could work like objective people. You could make an argument for that.
Yeah. I just
I
think
think
at
it
this
was real.
stage-
Like
it was real.
Vince is a chaos merchant. Like,
Yeah, like I think at this
He did it
stage.
to Wendy Rector.
I don't even think. Yeah, like I don't
Yeah.
even think he's that good at planning that kind of stuff.
No, Vince, sure,
But
like
Brett, yeah, Shawn, yeah, Vince not fucking hope.
no, and like,
But
I
like
just-
the people that were making the documentary, they're like, we need an endpoint. Is the endpoint that he just goes off into the sunset with WCW and,
didn't the
screw-
documentary-
and screws Hulk Hogan?
didn't the documentary run? Like, weren't they actually shooting for another 2 months after that, and then?
Yeah, but you need drama in the documentary, right?
yeah.
So
Well, you'd be like,
Well, is it a thing though
you,
that
you get what you get.
they had
Yeah.
other shit that they could have used, but then when that happened, they were like, "Well, this is obviously the focal point
This
of
is
the
a story,
documentary
like,
now."
yeah.
Like, yeah,
Yeah.
like they could have that documentary could have come out with a totally different focal point.
has Vince
if that didn't
Russo
happen.
said it was a work? It was a work, bro.
I don't really listen to anything Vince Russo says.
I still don't. I do not know why wrestling news sites still use him.
yeah, but-
and it's the same people, all the people with the podcast. You're
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Maven said
We are
this.
the people with the podcast. We're not fucking
Yeah,
using
we're
it.
not-
We could have got him on pretty handily for this.
Well, no, you can send like all these crap wrestling websites. We could send the transcript of this to them, and they would put it on in a fucking story.
They won't.
They're idiots. They would.
We don't. We're not in Cage Match.
They did it for me and Dunph.
I am. Yeah, but you were talking to actual old wrestlers.
We just talk about a lot of niche
true,
bullshit.
actually.
Like, why would
Yeah.
you be quoting us?
Yeah.
I don't know, because it just gives them something to fucking
Three basement
clickbait, like.
dwellers, 2 AEW fans, 1 WWE fan. Think Montreal.
Wrestling
wasn't a work.
conspiracy theorists. I don't.
We're actually in a basement right now, like.
I don't think it was a work. I
No,
just think that shit went down the way it went down.
There's too much paper on it, like, you know what I mean? Like, there's
There is
Who would
too
have to
much
be?
paper,
Who would
yeah.
have to be involved? Vince, Shawn, and Brett, and Earl. Like Earl took a lot of shit for that as well.
yeah,
to be
yeah,
fair.
yeah. Well, no, Earl doesn't really need to be involved in the
I don't know.
conspiracy aspect of it. You could work him.
You think Jim Ross isn't sniffing that shit out?
Yeah, 100%. And like, think of like other like the Pat Pattersons and Briscoes, and you know what I mean. They're all there.
And like they nearly lost a lot. Like Mick Foley didn't show up to the next night on Raw.
Undertaker was
Then he
livid.
scurried back within a week.
Yeah, well, look,
because he realized he was the only one who left.
Yeah. There was big.
Rick Rude. Rick Rude.
Well, Rick Rude.
I have a great Rick Rude.
Rick
one
Rude
coming
wasn't
up.
under contract though.
Was it? Oh, sure. That's how he ended up in WCW. Anyway.
Yeah.
Oh my god! Oh, sorry. I thought, yeah. Go on. You've got Rick Rude one. I just thought of something there.
I
Sorry.
have a very good Rick Rude one that I heard corroborated from a worker,
Okay.
but not like one that was around his time. But it's pretty.
corroborated by a worker. What kind of worker?
He worked me. Oh fuck!
You got worked.
Yeah, I got worked by a worker.
So what's the conspiracy here?
I can't get into it yet. It's for later.
Okay.
Why is it for later? What's
Because I have
coming
a
next?
segue into
Oh, sorry. Yeah,
into
yeah.
the next one. The next one I wanted to. So you're saying not work?
It's not a work.
It's not work.
It's not work.
It's an inside job, bro.
All right, Vince.
It was an
All
inside
right.
job. I'm just going to go against everything that you said. The
fine.
Montreal Screwjob was a work. Wake up, people. Open your eyes.
Open your eyes.
Okay, so with Brett going to WCW,
Yeah.
some people said he was like a sleeper agent. More so, Vince Russo was like a sleeper agent. But they've tried to trace it back to Hall and Nash were sent over, Brett was sent over, and then
I'd be way more inclined
Russo.
to believe that Russo was a sleeper agent more so than Bret Hart.
Yeah.
I think Bret, like if you look at Bret's WCW run,
He was no sleeper agent.
he was no sleeper agent. He was in other ways
Yeah.
sometimes.
yeah, he was quite
but he
except,
had a
except when it
tough
came to
run.
El Dandy.
Oh, El Dandy.
Who are you to doubt El Dandy?
There's a lot of El Dandy rumors on the internet as well.
I've seen
Hey,
some
what
of
were
those as
the
well.
rumors about El Dandy?
El Dandy and Lisa.
I can't speak about
This
it.
is literally the episode to speak about them. What the fuck?
This is
We're shadow banned
no. Well,
him?
by El Dandy.
Dandy?
El Dandy.
by the internet.
We're El Dandy band.
El Dandy did a lot of shady shit.
People are probably listening, going, "Who the fuck is El Dandy?
Oh, all dude.
Who are you to doubt El Dandy?" But yeah, that he was a sleeper agent going on to. He eventually, so it ties into Montreal. So if Montreal was a work, Brett was to go to WCW, help take him down from the inside, and then come back to WWE and have a swan song. That was obviously scuppered by the death of his brother. People are suggesting, and that's where like the real animosity came from. But
It's a very elaborate wrestling conspiracy
It's
theory.
way too elaborate.
It's
coming from the mind of a man who brought us Friar Ferguson
Yeah. Like, it's way too...
and Mantar.
yeah, it's Vince in the 90s, like.
like what? Like in popular culture, what are other conspiracy theories that would kind of match that for like a pure elaborateness? Like Elvis.
Paul McCartney is dead.
Yeah,
That went on. It didn't go on too long.
That's still going on.
Tupac's in Cuba.
I
Elvis,
haven't
that
heard
was
this
perpetuated by Kit Kat. I ain't dead, baby. I'm just
Speaking of
Elvis.
speaking of wrestlers or wrestling adjacent people, like the idea Andy Kaufman is still alive.
Is that even a thing? Do people think Andy Kaufman's still alive?
Yeah, because Tony Clifton keeps showing up at times.
Okay.
So
Yeah. I don't think that's even as elaborate as fucking...
it's a
job
bit
you
of a
work
con.
for.
It's like
As
you know,
Vince Russo being
Andy
a freak
Kaufman
bird.
was a big fucking kayfaber.
Yeah, like if you think of like the Vince Russo one, so many things have to fall into place for that conspiracy theory to be true.
well, like his whole thing is him and Ed Ferrara. They just threw on SmackDown onto his workload, and he was like, "I don't have time to be working SmackDown, bro." And then he just got really tired, and then
Burned out.
and then WCW picked him up, and they thought that they made a massive coup,
Yeah.
because this was the man that was responsible for the Attitude Era,
He was going
and
to
then you get
replace
Judy
Bischoff.
Bagwell on the pole.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did a lot of really really bad things
But like, how did he keep getting jobs? Because like he kept showing up in TNA as well.
because he was good friends with Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah.
Because he did push Jeff to the,
He pushed Jeff alright.
Everywhere he went, he
I was
pushed
watching Uncensored, and it was Sid versus Jeff Jarrett, and I'm like, why? And they had Sting and Luger,
January 2001, wasn't
That's a
it?
really unappetizing main event in any company in any
but they
context.
changed it because
era.
I like the two of them, with other people at different,
But Jeff versus Sid.
Jeff and Sid.
it was Flair and Hogan Sting and Luger, and then
The
Jeff
main
and
event
Sid.
is
But they moved the main event then to. So.
Hold on, what's this here? What's the theory about this?
Vince Russo killed WCW because he was a sleeper agent for Vince.
I think it's just that's an easy one to unpick, right? Vince Russo killed WCW because he was a terrible booker. Bro. Full stop.
Yeah, and there was nobody to filter him in the way that
Vince had filtered him previously.
Vince proved to be a pretty good filter for him.
And you can see that.
But he still indulged some of his worst excesses as well.
You can see that. You can see that in
some
TNA. with
truly horrific booking.
the electrified steel cage match that the Dudleys and LAX were in. Didn't need it. You had the last rights match with Abyss and Sting, where the casket comes down from the ceiling, and then the casket broke, and you didn't need that
He was a very
shit.
Jerry Springer influenced, Howard Stern kind of shock jock type booker. That was his
Howard Stern was actually spot on.
That was his whole vibe, and that was the type of car crash booking.
Yeah.
While we're on, so you don't think it's a work, bro?
No, I think Vince Russo's just a terrible booker.
Yeah.
I think Vince Russo has proven to be historically has been proven to be a terrible booker.
Do you actually like conspiracy theories?
I love
conspiracy theories. Yeah,
I love. That's why I'm kind of like, are you nixing all the conspiracies so far?
Look, also
we've only done 2.
I think for conspiracy theories to be valuable, they need few and far between is better.
Yeah.
Not everything is a fucking conspiracy theory, which makes the good one.
This is one that I think that you might agree with, and it's a bit more based in
This next now?
in realism. I don't know what's next on the list that I sent you, but I
This next one is sensational. We can come back.
I want to kind of stick with the Brett theme. I want to go. Shawn Michaels was never injured, especially leading up to WrestleMania 13. He wasn't as badly injured as he made out to be.
Okay.
He just did not want to job back to Brett. And then WrestleMania 14, he basically wasn't as injured. It wasn't as severe as he made it out to be. And he knew Vince would keep him on as a commissioner, so he wouldn't go to WCW. And then when WCW got bought out, he didn't have any leverage, so he just came back as a wrestler.
I think elements of that are true.
Definitely elements of that
And
are true.
I definitely believe that in the lead up to WrestleMania 13, he was he was faking, or at the very least exaggerating.
That's the part of
Did he not lose his smile?
He was losing his smile all over the place.
Bullshit. Now, even up to 14 with Austin, he didn't want to put Austin over either, but it was very much a case of
But that was a real boy who cried wolf scenario.
Yes.
Because he
pulled this
feigned
one
injury
before.
the previous year,
Yeah.
and then he genuinely fucked his back up in that casket match with the Undertaker.
true, I suppose. Yeah,
I read his book, and he was talking about something that I went through very recently. Like, he just severe pain in his back, can't get up off the fucking floor.
You fucked your back off a casket as well. Didn't you?
And that was strange. But that was at a funeral. I jumped in. I shouldn't have done that.
Shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, we've been telling you to try and avoid
Stop
that.
doing it.
It's not good for the spine.
Funeral crashing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And don't jump.
That's Vince Russo booking that last rights match. When I see a casket moving, I just want to jump on it.
Yeah.
But
I definitely saw that's a kind of a multi-part conspiracy. But what I would say is that I was going to say 93. The WrestleMania 13, I don't believe he was injured at all.
I don't either.
Because you start doing moonsaults off the top rope and everything. And
if that's a conspiracy theory rather than just a fairly accurate summation of what was going on.
You think of who he was that time. He never wanted to put anyone over.
He was also completely pepped up on prescription drugs.
And
he put Sid over it.
He was kind of friends with Sid though for a long time, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was
just. I think with Sid, he just
because it was meant to be Vader.
It was meant to be Vader. Yeah, I think with Sid, he just knew he could get a match out of him, and also they had a decent
payoff at San Antonio.
They had decent chemistry. I mean,
they did actually. Yeah,
and as good as Shawn was, he didn't necessarily have great chemistry with everyone.
I think that was an attitude thing rather than he could have had great chemistry with Vader. Only he didn't like that Vader hit kind of hard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He was, he's a bit of a prima donna.
Yeah, and I do think that
prima donna his way of dropping. Well, he wouldn't have dropped the title to Brett necessarily, but he was taking a loss to Brett. I'm
assuming that he was dropping the title to Brett at 13 because.
But so did Brett.
Yeah, well, they did the Iron Man at 12.
And then the idea was 13, and then they would have a kind of
the trilogy,
a trilogy where Shawn would beat Brett.
Yeah, that was all the work building up to the Montreal Screwjob. Which is building up.
Which actually is what's going to happen.
To send Brett over to kill WCW from the inside.
If you watch the Montreal Screwjob back, the match itself, the first 15 minutes of that are fucking electric.
Yeah,
it's one of Dunphy's favourite matches.
It's electric,
He's like, that's what pro wrestling is.
Yeah. And like,
especially
obviously,
the entrances of that.
and the following him backstage beforehand. I was like, me and Dunphy watched it for our other pod, the Dead one, R.I.P. Dead podcast, R.I.P.
It's not coming back?
It was at so we had the funeral. Shane busted his back off the casket.
Oh, yeah.
That's what it's for. I love continuity. I love continuity. That got me going.
There you go. Like that one. Oh. And so we rewatched it for that a couple of years ago. And I hadn't watched it in years because, like, you've seen the finish 60,000 times. But then I went back and watched the actual match and the show before and the show long build and the backstage footage.
You don't necessarily watch that entire match because you see so much of the aftermath.
Exactly, yeah. But we watched the full match again, me and Dunphy, and it was fucking brilliant.
That's a cracker. I mean, that was one of Brett's, probably overall, maybe his best in-ring year, 97.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he couldn't have been going into WCW hotter.
The man was firing on all cylinders. From the inside, took it down.
Yeah.
So, I think that conspiracy theory about Shawn feigning injuries in a couple of years of the 90s when he was on top to protect his position is more than warranted.
Yeah, I believe in aspects of that.
Yeah,
I
don't know about the later stuff with WCW and the commissioner role and all. You know what I mean? I'm not sure about that. I wouldn't surprise me. It's Shawn. And it's particularly Shawn back in those days was a hot mess, but certainly the WrestleMania 13 one and possibly 14 as well. Chelsea Green,
she calls herself a hot mess. She goes, "I'm a hot mess." That's in her song.
Yeah, that's the gimmick. Yeah,
Shawn Michaels
was the original hot mess.
Yeah, he was the original hot mess.
Yeah, he was not really like.
Do you think the conspiracy warranted?
Yeah, I think it is in this case.
Myth busted.
Yeah.
What's the next one? What was the one that was getting your jollies going?
I read this today as well, just before you sent it to us. Cody Rhodes is in fact Dustin Rhodes' son and not Dusty Rhodes' son.
I don't know where I get this, but I got seen it on the internet.
I saw that on the internet today as well.
And I was like, that's an interesting... That's a conspiracy theory that I can get behind.
Yeah. They just don't need to do this.
1969, Dustin Rhodes was born.
I mean, it would be good. Like, it would be a cool storyline for the two of them.
Yeah. I'm your dad.
I mean, that'd be like...
Dustin was about 16 when Cody was born.
So the whole thing is that, especially down south with teenage pregnancies and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, they were trying to... Like, the conspiracy theory is that...
Cody is nothing like Dusty. Very lisp.
I would say I've had a long held kind of wish that like Dustin Rhodes will get one last run in WWE before he retires.
Yeah.
And
I don't think he
work a world title program with Cody. Like come back as the younger brother who never got to win the world title, or the older brother who never got to win the world title. And then if he was like to manipulate him by telling him that he's actually his father.
Actually your father.
Yeah, you said you did. You said you did it for your dad, but
you actually did. I'm your daddy.
Yeah, I'm your daddy. it's my belt now. It's my turn. What a fucking all-timer of a storyline that could be.
Like, so the rumor kind of sparked off that Dusty claimed Cody as his son to protect Dustin's reputation starting out in wrestling.
Okay. How does that make sense? Is this like Jerry Lawler and Brian Christopher all over again?
Yeah.
No. Well, Jerry Lawler did not want to be acknowledged as Brian Christopher's dad.
Yeah, true.
I think it was. This was more like maybe a religious thing. Because he was so young.
Or like he's coming in as...
I don't believe it, but...
He's coming into the wrestling business and he can't be seen to have a son at 16 years of age. This kind of fucking, shit that happened in old Ireland.
I just don't buy any of that.
No, either do I. I just think it's funny.
It is a funny fucking conspiracy. I don't believe in it, but I'm sure
it actually hurts them when they read that online.
Yeah.
You think that? I think so.
Yeah, I think they're quite sensitive.
I think Cody's very sensitive.
Matthew,
actually.
Edit this out. We don't want to hurt Dusty Rhodes' kids.
We're not saying feelings. We're all disagreeing with it. So Matthew, leave it in.
Yeah, we're putting it out there though.
Will be a cool storyline.
We're amplifying it too.
Yeah, it's a storyline.
Our mega millions of listeners.
Go on anyway. What's the next one?
I like this one. Triple H intentionally screwed over Randy Orton's first title reign because he thought Batista was better. Now,
I think the first part's correct.
I'm going to put this in two parts. I was going to say that. I'm going to say this again. Triple H intentionally screwed over Randy Orton's first title reign. Full stop. Yes, because he thought Batista was better. I don't think he gave a shit.
He didn't give a shit. I think Batista kind of got caught fire by accident.
What are we talking? 04?
No,
03?
Yeah, 04. So Randy Orton wins the title against he who cannot be named
Yes.
at SummerSlam.
Yes.
He then becomes a face after they do the thumbs down,
yeah.
and he loses the title to Triple H, and then he becomes a heel again in time for
What was going on with that
WrestleMania
booking?
21.
There was no sense in that because like
And he goes up against the Undertaker.
because
WrestleMania
at the
21.
time, the direction seemed to be, it's going to be Randy Orton versus Triple H in the main event.
At WrestleMania. Yeah.
And they're going to build this, and they rushed it all in a month.
Yeah, like Randy Orton, and then he was back heel again.
And he was Randy.
And not involved with Evolution whatsoever.
He was in feud with the Undertaker.
Yeah.
It was mad.
Mad. And a part of this is that Brock had just fucked off, and Brock had the record of their youngest ever champion.
And
Randy's the guy there that's young enough to beat the record.
So you think that Randy's reign wasn't planned?
Well, Randy was coming off. He was coming off the Legend Killer thing. He had just after doing the Mick Foley feud.
Yeah.
So like
he had the Foley match at Mania and
he
Backlash.
had the trajectory, but I think by SummerSlam it was rushed. I don't think Chris Benoit's damn it, I said his name. I don't think his run was.
It wasn't taken off.
It wasn't as good as and
Yeah.
I think they were like, all right, the stuff with Brock played into it, and they put it on him. I just think that I couldn't. But when they had turned him face, I think they could have done that Batista Triple H thing with Randy and Triple H all the way to WrestleMania. I think with Randy as the cocky heel, as the front of Evolution, and then Triple H slowly becoming a bit more jealous and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But ultimately, they ended up in one of the best feuds of the 2000s with Batista and Triple H anyway.
Brilliant, and it all worked out in the end. But do I believe that Triple H would cut the legs off a young babyface to take their shine? Yes.
In that era, 100%.
100%.
Well, by the time we get to WrestleMania 22, he goes up against John Cena. And apparently, like, there's a big...
You go back and watch that Mania match again.
Yeah, there's a big theory
Go back and watch that again.
Like, whereas Chris Jericho and Kurt Angle were John Cena's first opponents on Raw, this is after his feud with JBL, and they kind of gave everything to Cena.
To make him look good.
Whereas Triple H wanted to make himself look cool and shrugged off everything John Cena said. And then the crowd are on...
Triple H's side.
Yeah, they were kind of on Kurt Angle's side.
What is the
anyway.
conspiracy theory ultimately here? Did Triple H bury a load of his fucking
try to
co-workers?
bury like the Golden Boys.
Yeah.
Guys who were a threat to him.
Yeah.
Because he expected by WrestleMania 23, we got Shawn and John Cena.
Originally, the plan
was Triple H and John
Yeah,
Cena.
yeah.
And that's why he kept DX around. So DX, if you look at the main events, it was like DX against the McMahons and Big Show, and they were the actual main events, not John Cena matches.
In that era, like, who did he put over? Who wasn't buried by him?
Or
Benoit, ironically
and
enough.
not just like you can lose to a guy and not
Michaels,
put him
Batista.
over. Do you get me? Like he lost to Cena, but he didn't put Cena over.
Yeah.
Like that man, 22. He loses to Cena, but he didn't put Cena over. There's a difference in how he like bumps for him, how he sells for him.
CM Punk was in. He shows up in that main event.
He's one of the
drivers for
the Tommy Gun lads. Yeah,
He is.
He is. Conspiracy theory. CM Punk is actually Scarface.
It's such mad thinking though. Like I know everyone has to protect their spots, and we've kind of discussed that. But it's such mad thinking that like the Golden Boys of the next boys, like John Cena and Randy Orton, not Batista because he did put him over. But
the funny thing about Batista though is he wasn't really considered part of that Golden Boy thing. He just kind of got over organically.
He was OVW original.
Yes, but the ones that
he was he was the enforcer. He wasn't the young blood because he was in his 30s by that stage anyway.
He debuted on main roster at 30.
He started wrestling at 30, I think.
Yeah. He debuted like 32, 33 then maybe. 30, yeah. Like so, Batista wasn't considered like
the future
in the way that Orton, Cena and Brock were.
Yeah.
Like he was kind of more considered when he was coming in as the enforcer type character who just happened to get over mega because fucking dude drips charisma. Like, you know what I mean?
And as we've seen, he's a fucking good actor.
So he was able to...
I would have never, ever, ever said that Batista was a good actor.
Until you see him acting.
Hands up, me too. I wouldn't fucking believe it. Based on wrestling. But like, there was, particularly in 2010 when he turned heel, there was some fucking really excellent looking character work. And when you look back on it, you go, Jesus, he was actually really solid. Like,
growing up, I remember like him as the world champion as a face, and you're just like...
He's not like he
doesn't come
he
across
doesn't
as
have
a
the
face
particular
either.
charisma that like Cena has or like
but
it's
he
a
has
much
different
quieter
type.
charisma.
Yeah. The strong silent type.
He
Gary
collects
Cooper.
lunchboxes.
He's Gary Cooper.
It's Gary Cooper.
Collects lunchboxes.
There you go. The fucking man collects lunchboxes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's Gary Cooper fucking material right there.
Right, what else we got here?
What are
So that's myth proved. Triple H will cut the legs. Oh.
Yeah, I think that's proven.
Yeah, no, this is one of the funniest ones because we all remember this from when we were kids.
is it El Dandy?
It's not El Dandy. It's the two Ultimate Warriors theory.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I love this one.
The
yeah.
two
This
Ultimate
is
Warriors
the
and
first
the two-
internet meme of my life that, well, maybe Prince removing his ribs.
Oh
Or
yeah,
Marilyn Manson
Marilyn
removing
Manson
his
or
ribs.
Prince removing the ribs so
Yeah.
they can.
Okay, speaking of removing ribs, while we're on it, I want to get in here real quick that like Lanny Poffo used to suck his own dick as a party piece.
Self-relate.
Okay, I believe that totally, 100%.
Got, the ribs are out. Got the fucking
Oh no!
Get the
Didn't
legs
he just have
overhead.
a monster dong though?
That was also part of it. That would have made it easier. In fact,
Yeah.
Did he get rid of the ribs and had a monster dong?
At the ribs, I'm not so
The
sure of,
twofer,
but like,
yeah, the
I mean, the
twofer.
reason
Yeah,
for
that-
Prince getting rid of the ribs was so he could suck his own dick,
Yeah,
right?
and Marilyn Manson. as
Marilyn
well,
Manson
allegedly.
apparently. So
Yeah.
Lanny Poffo could just probably do it because he was
didn't
very
need to
athletic.
remove his
Man,
ribs.
he was a leaper.
He was the lead, and he didn't call him a genius
he-
for no reason. You know what I mean? Man figured out how
He
to
leapt so-
self-relate.
He leapt so quick. He ended up in his own mouth. But anyway, sorry. When we're on that is a conspiracy theory.
Yeah, I believe that one. The two Ultimate Warriors.
Yeah.
So a warrior died and was replaced by another warrior.
Right, this stems from Ultimate Warrior's WrestleMania 8 appearance, where he comes back, he's in the singlet.
And
his
he's-
hair is natural, and he is not as roided out.
Nowhere near as
You
rated
know
as
the
he
heat
was
is coming from
previously.
the federal government.
Yeah.
These
Yeah.
guys start like getting slimmer or
Everyone
else
got
disappearing
slimmer.
off television.
Yeah.
But yeah.
He started wearing a singlet that kind of had his six-pack and stuff, like
Yeah.
on it, like
Like
John
the-
Gonzalez.
I
style.
remember
He came
specifically
back-
as a child going, Jesus, like the hair is different.
Yeah, I
It was the
remember
hair
it was
that
different
got
hair
me.
colour, like.
It was a different kind of haircut. It was just
straightened.
Hellwig without as many roids in him.
Yeah.
After a few months off since his last firing.
But that was a big thing in primary school. Like people were
Massive.
saying,
Everyone was
saying,
oh, it's a different Ultimate Warrior. It
That
was the
same
same.
theory has gone around about the Undertaker as well, and also to a degree, Al Dandy.
And, of course, and Kane. I heard there was different Kanes. Now there was, of course, the
Fake Kane.
There was Festus, who was fake Kane.
Yeah.
It was Doc Gallows.
Yeah.
Luke Gallows.
Luke Gallows. But,
yeah.
but there was other things about Kane. But the Ultimate Warrior one always stuck with me. I remember being told in primary school in KSP that Ultimate Warrior was dead.
It was like the real one died, so they got a replacement one.
Yeah.
And it made total sense to me as well, because I was like, oh,
Yeah,
he's-
why
But you know what didn't help things in this matter, I think?
Go on.
Renegade.
That was shortly
Because
after.
when I first got got access to WCW in 1995, I was seeing this lad rocking around. I was like, "What the fuck?"
There's a
how did
third warrior?
how did WWE not sue them? It was blatant plagiarism. It was like
it wa-
Arachnaman
it was
when Marvel threatened to sue them.
I think that was before the era of intellectual property, though, wasn't it?
No, because like Marvel went to sue WCW.
I don't
for
think it was
Arachnaman.
actually that. Well, it was brazen.
It was
but,
very
like,
egregious.
It wasn't like to call him Renegade Warrior.
Yeah, but
Or-
like he was clearly
The Renegade
an Ultimate
Hellwig.
Warrior
Do you think by the
ripoff,
time Ultimate Warrior came back at WrestleMania 12 that
he was back on the rides?
I knew it was.
Yeah.
I knew it was the same guy again.
it was always the same? He wore that baseball cap like no other guy wore.
He
baseball
was
cap.
properly righted in '96. The
Yeah,
heat
came
had
back-
died down, you know.
Yeah, the heat was gone off the federal
when he
government.
had
Ahmed Johnson's showing up now. Oh, here we go.
Like Ahmed Johnson was
the
another
boom is
guy.
back, baby.
Like, yeah, when Ahmed Johnson
I haven't seen
shows
guys
up,
like this in a few years.
and then British Bulldog comes along,
Oh,
his
yeah,
skin
Jamie got his job
shining.
back. Yeah. Oh, here's Sid back again.
Wrestlers weren't on steroids. Is that a conspiracy then, or
Look, there was
A lot
about
of wrestlers are good on
there was
steroids.
about a 8-month period, 92, 93, where they had to
where everyone left?
Yeah.
And you look at WrestleMania 8 and compare it to SummerSlam 92, and you're like, where the fuck is everybody?
yeah, where are all them gigantic muscular men?
Yeah, and Brett is now the champion,
Yeah.
and
And it happened so quickly. Like at the time,
Well, yeah, like Vince was
like,
going to jail. Like he had Jerry
Hogan,
Jarrett lined
Sid,
up.
They were all gone by
Warrior.
Warrior was gone.
92 in 1992.
Bulldog went very soon. Piper was gone.
Yeah, all those
Yeah,
guys.
don't
Most of those
Piper-
guys. Kerry Von Erich cleared out at that time.
Yeah.
Warlord cleared out.
Jake.
Jake, not a roid guy for completely different reasons.
Yeah, he had his own.
Yeah, he did himself a mischief there. That would have been his ideal time to shine. All their fucking roid freaks are gone.
And you had Jake, the body snake.
Like, yeah, poor old Jake there. If he had held it together through that period,
If
he'd
Jake
have
just had his
got
head
a world
screwed
title
on.
run.
Yeah.
I think.
He signed with
Brett would
WCW.
have been great.
He signed with WCW, and then I think his deal got whoever signed him. I forget who it was. It was fucking
Bill Watts.
Jim Hurd, wasn't it?
No, it was Watts was the one. I think it was Jim Hurd who signed him to a
Yeah.
real sweet deal, and then fucking
Watts came in
came in,
yeah.
and ripped it up.
Yeah. Jim Hurd signed him and Watts ripped it up. So
Well, we were talking about Lenny Poffo. We may as well speak about the Macho
it's
Man.
actually next.
Yeah.
Could you introduce this one? I don't even want to talk about
Don't
this
know.
one.
Is this the one I think it is?
Yeah.
This one makes me sick.
There is a conspiracy theory
Yeah.
that the Macho Man Randy Savage slept with Stephanie McMahon,
An underage, definitely.
an underage Stephanie McMahon.
And hence the animosity between one Vincent Kennedy McMahon and Macho Man Randy Savage.
To the point where Vince said, I never want to hear that man's name spoken again. Anytime Macho Man came up in booking meetings
Bruce
or
Pritchard said it.
licensing deals or whatever. Two things will corroborate this conspiracy theory.
Go on.
Do you think it's true?
One, Macho Man Randy Savage's ex, Gorgeous George. Not the original Gorgeous George. The latter day Gorgeous George. Stephanie, whatever her name was, I can't quite remember it.
think of her name,
But
yeah.
she was his valet in late stage Russo tinged WCW. And she said that he tried to coerce her 17-year-old sister into a threesome when they were together. Wow. Two, Macho Man released a rap song where he literally admitted it.
So Macho Man
So
had a rap album.
he had a rap album. He alluded to
full album.
this thing.
Yes.
What was the phrase he used? They're taking Stephanie around the block. It's a real coded paedophile.
Admission to...
I thought this was all nonsense.
What age would she have been? Like 17? 14.
I've heard different ranges. I've heard,
there is different age.
this-
not that matters. I'm not defending him.
This
if he
dude
does.
is well into his fucking 40s at this point.
Yeah.
Like, nobody has ever confirmed it. Stephanie's got a show coming out soon. Maybe
She
someone
ain't
should bring it up.
confirming that. She's not
Stephanie's places.
CM Punk should ask her in the first episode. You fuck Randy Savage?
Yeah, what's the matter?
Apparently, the animosity stemmed because he got a glowing send off on Raw
Yeah.
from Vince, but apparently then people
Glowing send off when?
when he left to WCW initially.
No, he didn't. Watch that video back. Like, that is so coded.
Is it? I haven't seen it in
Macho
years.
Man has left the World Wrestling
Vince was
Federation.
so pissed and so angry about the way the Savage did that.
but he
deal.
thanked them and stuff.
He did, but you can just see in his eyes.
He
There's
didn't do
so
that
much
for anyone
resentment.
else.
No, there's resentment in it. Like, I think he was.
He didn't do that for anyone
I
else.
think
though.
he was guilt tripping. I think he was hurt. I think he was genuinely hurt.
Yeah, because Hogan had left. Mean Gene, Bobby Heenan,
Yeah.
they all left. He
All
took,
the ways are gone.
He took that Slim Jim money with him.
Yeah.
Mean Gene, also on steroids.
Yeah,
You can
of
tell by
course.
his bald head. Male
I-
pattern baldness
listening.
it's a sure sign of
I don't
steroid
think
abuse.
it's true at all.
I hope it's not true.
I think the rap was the rap where it came from initially. That rumor.
It was like a
No, I think the rumor
wasn't
was
it like
long
a Triple
before
H diss track?
Maybe it was it?
That was
Something like that.
So maybe he just used the rumor as a way of getting at Triple H or whatever. Like,
He was trying to hurt that man.
yeah.
But
Look, people
why
should
would
try and hurt
like,
Triple
It's
H.
like, why would you try and fucking hurt someone by also
By
kind of
claiming
casually
that
going,
I'm
hey,
a- Yeah. I filled your wife, like.
I killed your wife. What are you going to do about
This
it?
is why
I
we get
don't
shadow
know.
banned. boys.
You're not supposed to say that word on YouTube. You're supposed
Matthew,
to say
can you ban those words, please?
PDF file.
Edit him out.
Yeah, he's not going to do that.
Oh.
Are you, Matthew? He'll insert something there. Hopefully,
but
Macho Man
like,
didn't.
Yeah.
it's weird. I mean, like, look, if it is true, it points to it could be a
Very,
rumor.
very dark.
It's
But look,
very,
the wrestling
very
industry
dark.
is dark as
Oh,
shit.
but
anyway,
some
like.
of the stuff that I've sent you on is
It's like
you can't talk about.
No, you can't talk about it. I actually felt dirty reading it.
Well, but this one makes you feel dirty as well, and this is one that someone had told me.
But like, in fairness, if Vince is told that one of his most beloved stars is like, getting involved with his underage daughter, why wouldn't you want that man banned from your company for fucking forever?
yeah, but also
Why wouldn't you bring-
Vince McMahon, you'd probably like
Why wouldn't you bring court proceedings against them?
or hurt him.
This is the thing. And like, nobody knows the context of it because nobody knows if it's true. Stephanie's never spoke on it.
I don't
Yeah.
think
Triple H has never spoken on
I
it.
hope it's not true.
I don't
for
think
everyone
it is.
involved.
I hope it's not true
Now,
for
Shane
everyone
McMahon,
involved.
maybe, but
Why? When he was underage.
no, just
He would have been of age then.
would have been of age when he was doing Shotgun Saturday Night or something.
Yeah.
But Macho Man would have been in WCW then.
You have another dark one that you believe is corroborated.
This has been told to me by somebody who has been in the industry and is in
This
the
episode
industry.
going to get us sued now.
No,
No, because we're only Sure, look, we'll just take it off the
We're just
internet. if it does.
spreading lies and misinformation about
We're
people.
not spreading lies. We're talking about conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
Okay, so this one, you're not going to like this one, John. So,
Are you?
I just
alluding
had to do
that
the
I will
pedophile
like
one.
it.
probably.
You made the
Because
intro.
you included him as not like you didn't. Include
Why would I
me.
not like it?
I feel like this is weighing on your soul this time.
You just made me intro the pedophile one. Like, what else? How much worse can it be?
Rick Rude.
Oh, God.
Oh god,
Did you ever hear this? Yeah.
I heard it first today when you
basically-
included it in the run
basically,
sheet.
This comes from the Honky Tonk Man.
Okay, this is not
So
true.
it's probably not true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I have maybe the person that I've heard it from had heard it from Honky Tonk Man as well. I don't know. He might have been on tours with him.
Did you hear from Greg the Hammer Valentine?
It was Greg the Ham Valentine
thinking.
and Sergeant Slaughter.
Dino Bravo told me the same thing
It was
up in Montreal.
He's dead.
that wasn't a
He
conspiracy.
died when you were a lad.
know.
He died. He died due to the mob, right? That's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
a conspiracy. He was selling cigarettes.
You don't know it was the mob.
The Canadian mafia.
There's a big.
How do you know that?
There's a big cohort of mafiosi in Quebec and
Yeah, big
Toronto.
time.
It's Le Mafia.
Are we going to get conspiracy theory about Dino Bravo's death? Was that on the list?
No, it's not.
No, that's
Well,
not.
we're
that's not
touching.
even a
We're
conspiracy theory.
touching on it now.
So basically, anyway,
Rick
Rick
Rude.
Rude, to try and get hard really quick, injected Viagra straight into his penis.
Yeah.
And it got infected.
Go on. It got infected and
They had to amputate Rick Rude's dick and balls.
I've never
And
heard
balls.
What? I've never heard this. I've never encountered this. You're straight up saying you fucking talked to someone who might have talked to the Honky Tonk Man who told you this.
It could have been DDP. He drove that fucking car down at WrestleMania 6 with the Honky Tonk Man in it.
Cite your sources. Who told you?
I can't say.
Why can't you say?
I can't say.
Tell us what you can't say.
I can tell you. I can tell you afterwards.
I think I know.
Who
I
is
think I
this?
know your source.
Yeah,
Who
okay.
is this deep throat?
Edward Stewart. It is online though. It's online,
It is
as,
online
well.
as well.
Oh, is it?
It
Okay.
is online. This isn't me just fabricating
No,
stuff.
because Shane put it in the run sheet, and then
You had
I
to go
went and
Google
looked
it.
at it, and I was like, "Oh shit, people do talk about this."
Apparently, it gets darker. Like apparently,
Like your whole gimmick is ravishing, and you lose your entire dick and balls.
And balls, no balls,
No balls.
no balls, no they.
and apparently,
It's just like
And
Ken
like also for the man who like more than any wrestler in any era wore the tightest of tights.
They were tight.
They were so tight.
they're very tight. But
Maybe that's what led to the infection.
but apparently that contributed to his death.
And his back problems.
But he died of a heart attack. He was very young though. Like he was
Yeah, well,
39.
they thought the rumor would be that it was self-induced.
Because he had no dick and balls.
Well,
Because, like that was his whole thing. He was ravishing Rick Rude.
If anyone out there can corroborate this story, please get in contact.
Like-
you can do so in absolute confidentiality.
yeah.
also, like the Viagra pill doesn't take that long to take effect. That you.
I don't believe it. I'm just saying this is a conspiracy.
Yeah, I don't believe this one. Do you believe it, John?
What?
Do you believe this one?
Do you believe?
No, I
Enjoy
don't.
Hendrick.
I don't believe.
I believe half of this one.
But
I believe he kept his balls.
Was Viagra knocking around in 99?
It would have been.
He
nice,
died.
I
He
suppose.
died in 99.
Yeah,
He was
I'd
40.
say
He
so.
fought. Apparently, people were. They also stated like he was trying to. He was taking stuff for narcolepsy because he kept falling asleep. This is another rumor, but he was building up for a comeback. 'Cause he's only 40, like.
I know, yeah.
Think
But his
about
back was trashed.
Yeah, but think about the guys in their 40s now that are wrestling.
AJ, Roddy Strong, Edge is in his 50s.
Very well calloused.
Damien Priest is like 43.
a lot of lads in
Doesn't matter.
WWE don't get their break now till they're about 40. Like,
Yeah,
That's
And then,
very
like,
true.
you know what I mean? It's crazy.
Or Damian Priest as well, in fairness, yeah.
And that's why you look at someone like Rick Rude. Kurt Hennig was in his 40s.
Yeah, but also like right, there's
like
two.
Eddie was only 36 when
I
he
know,
passed.
but there's
All these men died with their dick and balls intact.
yeah. Except for Rick Rude.
Apart from Rick Rude.
No, I don't believe that.
I don't believe that one
I
either.
think
I
Rick
do not
had the
believe
full
that.
package.
But the total package was Lex Luger.
Well, we're in no doubt.
Speaking of the total package,
Lex Luger,
yeah,
boom.
blew his WrestleMania 10 win talking with news reporters the night before.
Yeah. So apparently the rumor is he got a bit leery before WrestleMania 10. I heard SummerSlam, but I also heard WrestleMania 10. Then he was telling news
The rumor I
reporters
always
he's
heard
going
was
to win.
WrestleMania 10.
He's going to win the title tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then Vince got a hold of it and then said, no, it ain't happening.
Now, there's a couple of things to this one.
One, in Lex's defense, Lex was paraded around in front of a live audience by Vince McMahon with the WWF
3 weeks
title
before that.
around his waist.
Yeah, 2 weeks before that.
To get a gauge of the temperature in terms of how fans would react to Lex Luger as champion. So if Lex is having the belt put on him and he's been brought out into the arena and paraded around and told to fucking wave at the fans, cut a speech, like, that lad is fairly sure he's getting that title.
But should you be telling reporters if that's the case?
He's just done it in public.
Yeah.
No, there's another...
a literal dress rehearsal for Lex as the champion, and then it didn't happen.
I think because there's another part of that could equally be conspiracy theory that I think is probably slightly more likely, in the sense that Luger knows by the night before that he's not getting the title.
Yeah.
Now, for months before that, nobody knew who was getting the title. Is it Brett? Is it Luger? Are they going to keep it on Yoko? But what I think may have happened is Luger and Brett are told a couple of days before that title's gone on Brett. At the end of the show, he beats Yokozuna. However, I think Luger tried to play a political last-minute maneuver. If I tell the reporters that the title's gone on me, they might feel like they have to put the title on me because the news is out there. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense.
That's the way I always thought about that.
I could buy that, maybe. Yeah.
He's trying to make a power play.
Power play by telling reporters.
Vince called him on it, and I mean, like, I think the fact that, like, I don't think the Lex Express and the whole fanfare of the summer of 1993
that had died a death.
Like, Vince was really hoping for a spike in interest in the product at that point.
Yeah, it didn't happen.
It was the first period where they were really starting to fucking go downhill.
Shit was starting to fall apart.
Yeah, shit was starting to fall apart, and he felt he needed a new face.
Yeah.
But Lex wasn't getting the job done, and that's why he ended up ultimately course correcting back to Brett.
Yeah, I do think, like, earlier in that time frame, we're talking like after SummerSlam, Survivor Series, probably up to Royal Rumble, Lex was the plan.
Yeah.
Then they bought themselves time with that Royal Rumble finish, and business wasn't picking up with Lex, so they went with Brett. Steady hand, steady the ship.
Yeah, I'd buy that.
But I do think that the night before thing may have been Lex's last kind of play to get the title put on him.
And so, yeah, kind of some truth to that.
Yeah, I think there's probably an element. Like, do I think that he told the reporters and all that? Yeah, absolutely.
Next one. Sami Zayn and El Generico are the same person.
No, they're not the same person.
They're not.
El Generico opened an orphanage in Mexico.
It's interesting.
He's been doing great work down there for a long time.
Did Kevin Owens not say he died in some street in Mexico?
What are you talking about? No,
Well,
he
look,
didn't.
Kevin Owens
said-
scumbag.
Did you say something like that about El Generico?
We
I
all
seen
know.
El Generico. He was in Kilkenny wrestling.
He wrestled in the Carlton Ballroom. Yeah,
he did.
I missed that.
No, the man is running an orphanage, I believe, in Mexico.
Last I heard, is it like a franchise of orphanages?
Fair play to him. And Sami Zayn is on weekly WWE television.
It's fun to think about, but you've never
It is
seen
fun
them
to
both.
think
You've
about.
never seen them both in the same
It's
place.
hilarious. We've never,
This one's interesting, and I didn't believe it until I read it today, and now I totally believe it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so the cage was meant to break in the Hell in a Cell match with Mick Foley and The Undertaker. The reason why they stated that it wasn't to break was to appease Mick Foley's wife.
Where did that match take place?
WWF.
No, do we know what city it was in?
Was it Baltimore?
Maryland.
Why does that matter?
Different athletic commissions have different rules, and they might have had to lie. I think Maryland could be one of
How could they allow him being thrown off the top of the cage and then not be thrown through it?
I don't know. Yeah.
So I remember watching that and like for years thinking like, holy
shit.
moly, like the Undertaker is so lucky that he wasn't standing on the same.
A little bit too lucky.
No, sorry, Pittsburgh.
Like he wasn't standing on the same platform that he chokeslammed Mick Foley through.
Yeah.
Like why did they get back up on the cell? Mm-hmm. Well, you're kind of because they have that great visual of the Undertaker. Like the cell goes up, Mick Foley's been brought off, and he's like, "No, I'm coming back." And they have that great visual of the Undertaker climbing down the cell, and then Mick starts climbing it up again.
Yeah.
And then the Undertaker is like that visual of him going, "What the?" And then starts climbing up again. They get into that spot. The Undertaker's in a proper spot where he's not going to fall through. Chokeslams Mick Foley.
Yeah.
Like, why, if they were already going through the cage,
But also,
why would you do that? And then it breaks perfectly.
Also, the way Foley, he doesn't come off both of his legs for that.
No, but you wouldn't.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It almost feels like he knows that the cage is breaking.
Now, the reason why it would go towards the other way is the chair that came down and hit Foley in the face afterwards. The chair would
that could just be an accident.
Yeah, but I think maybe that it's a fun one to think about.
Yeah, because I wouldn't be surprised at all if that was a planned spot.
Because
not one bit.
When they replicated the spot with Triple H,
that was done totally different.
That was done because he went through the ring.
Yeah, the ring was softened.
Yeah,
I call him Bull.
I guess they probably had like a couple of it's plausible that they had a couple of finishes lined up because the chances were like Mick might not make it.
Man, he bounced
out of the first one.
Yeah, true. But sure, see, you pull off the first one.
His capacity for punishment is so huge that you could imagine it.
I know.
Like I don't know what the finish of that match would have been had he not gone through
the second time.
Like maybe did they plan to climb back down? Like was he been thrown off it again? What the fuck was it?
That's where
there is a logic to it. That
but it's mad that they did 2 cage drop spots in one match.
If they were intending to do that, because like Undertaker didn't want to do it at all. But when he came out, Mick Foley's on top. So
there is elements of it that do speak to an accident. Like the cage is already sagging when they get up on it, and like if they know that there's a place where it's vulnerable, they're going to avoid it. But they were stepping into places just by accident, and I think there was vulnerabilities in the cage. Also, the fact that like the chair that they were using on each other on the cage that fell into the ring, and that's what caused one of the biggest teeth, injuries, like that hole that he had in his cheek,
the teeth fucking going through
the tooth going through his nose. So that happened. Like I feel if they were planning that spot, they would have been a bit more careful around the chair, obviously.
Maybe,
So there are things in it that really do speak to it being a complete fucking accident.
Maybe, yeah.
But
it's weird to think like
they still worked to a finish.
What was the planned finish had he not have gone through?
I mean, it's also it is ultimately just like 5 or so just big fucking spots. Like there wasn't a ton of brawling in it.
There was not much more in that match. Like other than the 2.
Well, they still had a bit of a thing. Like the thumbtacks came out, and
but that is a fucking big gimmicky spot. Like so, there was a couple of those. And
it's not very Vince booking to
like. It's great. I think it's an excellent match. I'm so glad it exists.
Like but, one of the most iconic matches ever, and it's very well worked.
By design or by accident, like the nature and the danger of those stunts was so much that you couldn't really plan too big a match.
I love where people Mick Foley had recently said people come up to him and go, that's what got me into wrestling. He's like, oh, is that what you thought every wrestling match was going to be like? You know what I mean? Because like that is insane.
What he put his body through.
Like the mad thing is the reason why I think it was an accident is if you think like from Vince McMahon's perspective and the way he booked for most of his career is that when there's a big spot in a match, the match revolves around that one big spot and that's given room to breathe. And they already did like this. He gets chucked off the roof of a cage. Then to go back and do a kind of a lesser version of the same spot wouldn't be very Vince.
Start the match off with that.
Crazy. It's not Vince at all.
Yeah, but that's because Mick Foley, he was very... I was reading his book. He felt very insecure about like where Mankind was. He felt like him and Undertaker didn't warrant... Their feud at that time didn't warrant the Hell in a Cell. He was conscious.
Yeah, because they were like it had been like
thrown together.
They'd exhausted it for 2. Like they got the best out of it for 2 years, but it was just like they'd gone back to it in '97 when the Undertaker became world champion, and then in '98 again. And Mick had flipped through a couple of characters, so it was quite cold at the time.
Shawn Michaels and
had the iconic cell match. It was
the first cell match. Had an amazing cell match. He was like, "How do we top this?"
Mick absolutely wants to top it. Yeah, and he fucking nearly killed himself.
Right, I'm going to jump off the fucking cage.
He said it to Terry Funk.
It could have. Yeah, it could have been planned.
Funker said, "Do it."
Funker got chokeslammed out of his runners.
But the one he comes back out in the main event of that.
I know,
and you're like, why? Why did you
are
let
you
them?
Not in hospital?
Another few interesting ones before we say goodbye to the conspiracy terrorists. Bash at the Beach 2000 was planned 100% between all parties, between Vince Russo, between Hulk Hogan.
Yes,
man, I don't know.
Do you think so? You think it was planned?
Yes.
Why? So basically,
because it was so fucking contrived and confusing and ineffective that fuck it, sure it was planned.
Did Hulk Hogan?
It's Russo, yeah.
Did Hulk Hogan not sue them though?
Yeah, but I think like
what's he suing for? Defamation of character,
something like that. I think Hogan I think what happened, and this is fucking vintage Hogan. I think what happened, Hogan got home from that, realised it was a shit show, and said, "Fuck it, I'm distancing myself from this. I'm going to sue them." That's what I think happened.
Yeah, but all Vince Russo had to say is that Hogan was in on it. Yeah, no, he did say that, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Hogan was in on it.
Yeah,
well, to a degree.
He did say that. Like, that was his defence. Hogan was in on
He
it.
said this was 100% agreed, planned beforehand.
And I actually think Russo's telling the truth there. Only for the simple fact that who's a bigger liar, Hogan or Russo? We're talking about two of the biggest liars in the history of the world.
Definitely Hogan.
Hogan's the biggest liar ever.
There's also
It has to be Hogan.
There's also another one where Hogan was a sleeper agent when TNA was on the rise.
Why is it always about sleeper agents?
Yeah, people love sleeper
Vince
agents.
sent in Hogan to
Who's this-
take TNA down from the inside because that's what ultimately happened.
Who's the sleeper agent right now? Cope.
Cope, yeah.
Corpse. That's a great one, actually. That's a great one.
Ricky Saints.
Yeah, well, Ricky
No,
said,
Ricky
yeah,
said
it's
that
definitely not
was
going to go the other way. It's proven to work for WWE. So this also feeds in. ECW in itself was a sleeper agent to take down the NWA.
It was the thing was that it was like a WWE owned territory.
Yeah,
wasn't
it was secretly a WWF developmental territory. It's where they tested out the Attitude Era. It's where they tested out people like Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah,
that's the theory.
I don't believe this.
If you think that Vince in 1993, with the fucking federal government coming after him and his business falling apart, and I'm starting to run shows in fucking high school gyms, and the NWA been such a spent force.
Yeah.
At
Came
that point,
up with a-
just after being disengaged from WCW. If you think Vince McMahon at that time was prepping fucking Paul Heyman to run sleeper agent cells out of a bingo hall in Philly,
to change
you're
the-
sorely mistaken.
to change East Coast Championship
do you
Wrestling.
think Vince was taking that
Extreme
fucking
Championship
far
Wrestling?
ahead? Like,
No.
you know what I mean?
No.
Because like
He was booking fucking Fantasio.
If it was, right? If it was, by the time it closed down in 2000, WWE was making mega profits again.
Well, 2001. Like,
Sorry,
and
2001.
it closed down because it was meant to like also
2001,
compete
yeah.
with WCW. So like the second WCW closed down, he buys ECW as well. And apparently Todd Gordon tried to buy ECW too, but it just wasn't happening.
No,
Vince-
people would have got paid.
Vince and Heyman.
Nobody was getting paid.
Paul said he got paid. He said he got paid for
what I'm talking about-
bringing in brackets and that kind of stuff.
What I'm talking about is like the workers in ECW over those last 6 months weren't getting paid off Paul Heyman.
Yeah.
He was out in fucking.
I'm sure Tommy Dreamer said he was going to shoot Paul Heyman at WrestleMania 17.
Yeah,
That's not a conspiracy theory. That's just a death threat.
he admitted it.
That's like what he said.
Vince McMahon was like putting a lot of money into ECW over the years for various reasons. Various deals that he do with Heyman, and there was a very loose like
They got guys on
like
TV and stuff.
confidence and supply arrangement going on with them a little bit. Like if Vince had talent that needed a bit of a refresh,
So he sends him
Al
Blackus
Snow.
and Al Snow.
But like back when other guys get spots, you know.
Jerry Lawler showed up.
Yeah.
But I think like a lot of that is.
Do you think Pillman showing up there was a precursor to his WWF run?
No, I think he just showed up there.
Well, he did just show up there, but I think
then he got signed.
I think it made him infinitely hotter.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like, do you think that was what I'm saying? Is
But
that
that
was
whole
planned?
Brian Pillman thing is crazy anyway. Like that whole period of that secret deal he had with Bischoff and blah blah blah. You know,
Yeah.
like so that whole
Bischoff,
period.
he
is-
convinced Bischoff. So if you don't know, he convinced Bischoff to legit fire him.
Yeah.
To make his storyline hotter.
To make the appearance that he was gone rogue on the product, and then
Yeah.
he was going to come back in for a top line program with
Flair.
presumably. I think it was Flair, but maybe it was
I heard.
presumably
Yeah,
Hogan.
I heard he was
Hogan
go-
tried to kibosh it though.
He was going to have the Horseman X.
Yeah.
And apparently
Yes.
he talked to Chris Jericho and ECW about it. Maybe Benoit.
Benoit, I think, as well.
But he was going to have like this new version of the Horseman.
all
He was
those
going-
young guys.
Yeah, and he was going to be the leader.
Yeah.
Which would have been cool.
That would have been
But ultimately,
fantastic.
he went to WWF, had that feud where
managed to
he
get
shot Stone Cold.
Yeah.
And then was in the Hart
Pillman's got
Foundation.
a
I mean, he had a lot of impact for his short time and the
Crazy
minimal time
impact.
he spent in
Crazy
the,
impact.
in the
Yeah.
ring. Like,
And look,
Or as that character even.
yeah.
As the loose cannon. Like
yeah, but one of the most revolutionary.
What was the
wrestling
loose
characters
cannon
ever.
run?
'Cause-
Less than 12 months. The whole thing, WCW section and all.
That would have been about 2 years.
yeah.
Was it 2 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, because he
I suppose up
started
to
doing
the-
all that Booker Man stuff with
Yeah.
Kevin Sullivan.
Yeah, that was all kind of like mid to late 95.
Yeah, but that was kind
and
of
he died in
pre-loose cannon, wasn't
late
it?
97.
Yeah, because like he was still flying Brian on the first Nitro.
But he picked up so many injuries and he's like, you know what, I can't be a fucking high flying guy. I'm going to need something a bit more grounded.
Yeah.
And also a character that'll take me to the next level. I can't just be.
You know, I'm watching a lot of WCW lately, and Johnny B. Bad is class.
Okay.
Yeah, Johnny B. Bad was a really hot act in
Like,
WCW.
what the fuck happened with
And
Mark
actually,
Mero?
Again, it was like
He got cooked.
Like he was playing he was playing a kind of bisexual like mixed race dude, which he
playing Johnny Bean Good.
Yeah, which he actually wasn't. Yeah, like
he's coming out with streamers, and apparently Vince loved it.
Vince loved the character because Vince loves any kind of 1950s like nostalgia stuff, and obviously the whole look and gimmick is patterned after Little Richard. Yeah. And Morro was fucking great in that part. Yeah. Then the Wild Man was not.
That was terrible.
And then he was a boxer.
That was absolutely terrible.
And he was getting paid more than Mick Foley, which really pissed off Mick Foley. And you're like, Johnny B. Bad was quite like. Yeah. The WWE, WCW
what's
YouTube
the conspiracy
channel.
Theory around Johnny B. Bad? He secretly was Little Richard.
He actually was, yeah. Little Richard never died.
And Honky Tonk Man was Elvis.
Yeah.
That one I believe.
I believe that one.
And the artist formerly known as Prince IK is Prince.
It's actually Prince IK. Yeah.
I would also say that to go back to the ECW one, they're trialing out the attitude era there. Like, that's...
They stole that.
Yeah, no, they stole it. Like, that's people trying to, like... You know these people who, like, almost deify Vince as a genius? They're like, they can't believe that this attitude era was created by somebody else other than Vince.
Well, like, so a lot of the workers would classify Vince as a fucking madman, a genius, though.
Yeah.
But, like, you know, maybe...
Madman and genius are not interchangeable.
Mad genius.
Look, so let's be totally honest,
mad,
right?
Yeah.
Lots of these workers are fucking idiots. They're just dumb. Look at fucking Bubba Ray there, like, you know what I mean?
I like Bubba.
Listen, Bubba last week absolutely drove me mad, right? He was giving out about the spot, the one that we spoke about with the
John Moxley.
Yeah. And he was like, his actual tweet was, you can't work for the pop, you gotta get the pop to work for you.
You gotta earn the pop.
I'm like, Bubba, of all people in the history of wrestling, your whole career is based off one thing. Get the tables.
Yeah, but like that's a build-up. So, boom. People are anticipating the was up. Does the was up. Boom. Devon. He's earning it there. That's what he's saying.
That's not like it's just a
conspiracy theory. The Dudleys weren't related.
No, they were all brothers. Every one of them.
Big Dick Dudley wasn't related.
Rumor going around.
He was related to Lonnie Poffo.
Dances with Dudley, son guy Dudley.
No, I thought they were all brothers. Yeah, half brothers.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, second last one. Sheamus wasn't meant to beat John Cena for the championship in the tables match back in 2009.
The one where Cena falls through the
It looked like a botch.
I'm sorry, this is a fucking lame conspiracy theory. Like,
I don't really care.
It looked like a botch because they fucked it up. It was a fucked up finish, but
I think Sheamus was supposed to win, but they just didn't do the finish right.
Yeah.
So people came up.
This stuff does happen. You know, talking about like R-Truth accidentally beating Nakamura for the US title.
That's actually a funny one.
Caitlyn, she won the women's title, or a number one contenders match for the women's title.
Hey, what
Ray Phoenix beating John Moxley for the AEW International.
Called the finish because he got injured.
Yeah.
See, this isn't a conspiracy theory, but I was watching. You know, Gail Kim obviously got let go from TNA this week, and there was various clips of her popping up. Did you see the one where like she
just hops out of a battle royal?
Hops out of a battle royal and goes backstage and quits.
She just quit live on air.
Fuck this.
What was it that actually set her off there?
I think everyone in the ring was
just
crap at
the fact
wrestling.
that she had to do that.
Yeah, but the fact that it was like, I'm a really good women's wrestler, and I'm a really good wrestler, and now you have all of us just thrown into it.
But just in a division where that is not appreciated.
Yeah.
And you're working with a lot of lingerie models. Yeah. Like, that was...
that's the issue right there.
The most dire times. There wasn't a lot of workers.
Yeah.
So like some great workers.
Hopped out and fucking went home.
So the last one is back on these early wrestling forums. Mm-hmm. There was a sleaze thread. I think it was the Dirt Sheet, whatever it was. It was an early wrestling forum. And on the sleaze thread, that was created by a person called Coach Tony K. On all of that, there was a lot of not safe for work stuff.
Yeah.
And then there was a famous list of over 400 wrestling conspiracies.
And 99% of them are not safe for work.
Yeah, are not even safe to...
Or you couldn't, you can't. I read at least 300 of them today.
Yeah.
And
how many times did Jimmy Del Rey crop up?
A lot.
Yeah, he cropped up. I tell you though, there's a few other lads who cropped up.
Do you want me to go through them?
No,
go through a few.
You're going to find it hard to find ones that you can say.
I've already kind of pre-looked at. Jake Roberts was prone to traveling with a big pink dildo in his gear bag for himself.
100% believe it.
I would believe that.
No doubt in my mind.
There's also one in there that
he kind of fesses to that in Beyond the Mat, though, doesn't he?
does he?
Yeah, he says,
and then the toys get involved.
what is it? You can't think of anybody either.
But also there's the one in there that Stephanie pegged Stone Cold, China, and Triple H.
Sorry, excuse me, what?
Stephanie pegged them all with a strap on.
Remember Stephanie pegged Stone Cold, China, and Triple H
with a strap on.
Has anyone done a rap about this?
Somebody should.
At the beginning of the Attitude Era, where Vince was going nuts with merchandise ideas, one of his pet concepts was for a set of WWF Legends commemorative cock rings, which would have been available in adult specialty stores like Spencer's.
If you don't think that he was in some way trying to merchandise Prince Albert of that character, the idea of a pro wrestling piercer.
Also, the man,
you know what I mean?
It came out in
Albert.
It came out in the court documents of his sexual assault scandal that he had a collection of dildos that were named after his wrestlers.
This is also
So
true.
that kind of
This
corroborates
is an actual fact.
Yeah, like that's in court documents that you can read on
The internet.
Chris Benoit invented the triple German suplex back in the 80s. Steve Strong was the trans-Canadian heavyweight champion, but was a real dick about it backstage. So one day, before a match with Benoit, Beef Wellington jacked off all over the belt and before he put it on. Once the match began, Strong's belly was so sticky that Benoit couldn't get his arms off it until the third German suplex.
Fucking yeah, I believe the shit.
Yeah, go on. Yeah, that's fact.
Absolute fact.
During the WCW days, Hoovy and Psychosis wanted to rib Brad Armstrong, acting like they were going to run over him with a car. One problem, Hoovy, the driver, was totally stoned and actually ran over him, literally destroying Brad's ankle in the process.
Yeah, fuck, I believe
Hoovy and
It's Hoovy.
Psychosis.
It's Hoovy and
Absolutely.
And a fucking John Armstrong in
Yeah,
there.
Brad Armstrong's getting bullied. Yeah, I believe every bit of that story. Hoovy and Psychosis were loose cannons in the 90s, like,
Man.
and probably the 2000s.
So mad, like, there's literally
There's hundreds.
Big Show versus Balls Mahoney, New Jack versus Dances
Big
with
Show
Dudleys.
versus Balls Mahoney was a thing, was that?
The next story involves Big Show when he was still training to be a wrestler at Larry Sharp's Monster Factory, where Balls was helping to train people. Giant showed up with some of his buddies and they stood around while Giant was working some weights. Balls came up with his buddies and asked him to leave because they were training. The men said, "Oh, well, we're with Paul White," and he said we could stay. Wrong thing to say to Balls, who had a horrible temper and even told Vince McMahon to go fuck himself one time. Balls got right in their faces and told them to get the hell out. The Giant walked over and asked what was going on. They told him and he tried to calm the situation, but Balls was pissed and got in the Giant's face and challenged him. He told the Giant, "Sure, you're 7 feet tall and 500 pounds, and you could probably kick my ass, but what happens if I kick your ass?" Giant simply sighed and took his friends and left. Balls later admitted he was glad it went down that way because the Giant would have killed him.
It's not really a conspiracy theory, though, is it? It's just kind of like, oh, these two lads had a Barney.
Yeah.
I did meet Balls Mahoney, and I complimented him on the chair shot that he took from Masato Tanaka at One Night Stand 2, and he then told me two cool stories. One story was how he was disappointed with that match because their time got cut, and they would have had a better match than Shawn Michaels and Kurt Angle had at WrestleMania 21. I said, "Sure, Balls."
Debatable.
And he also said,
Balls could go.
He also said that in ECW, he proposed a storyline in which his brother-in-law, who is someone who has Down syndrome, he wanted to punch him in the crowd.
I've heard this one, yeah.
To get
Heat.
publicity.
Heat.
Yes. And even Paul Heyman said, that ain't happening.
Yeah,
I
I
believe
think
that
this one's been
also.
pretty documented.
Yeah, I believe that.
Yeah, there's just... Man,
It's a crazy thread. Some of the Mexico shit on it is just like...
Yeah, there's Virgil got a
Right
job
down
by
the
unleashing his hose.
we don't know like so many of their names and who they are. Like, of course, like so many
Well, El
conspiracy
Dandy
theories.
is there
Like,
several hundred times.
Who is El Dandy?
Kevin
Antonio
Sullivan spends
Pena.
his vacations at a nudist Connolly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what? Like, can a man have interests?
Yeah, but like
Sounds like a hobby.
apparently there's a Polaroid from the 80s of Ric Flair playing the skin flute.
Like, no doubt.
It's the 80s. It's Ric Flair.
Simon Dean Supernova enjoys the feeling of pudding. Take that for what you will.
I don't know what that means, but wasn't there like rumors about him that he was some kind of like mad fucking snitch?
Was he?
Yeah. Didn't he get kicked out of like OVW or Deep South for some weird gossipy thing?
Bill Watts used to piss out of his tower office at Turner onto the parking lot below.
Apparently, this is true. This is genuinely true.
Yeah.
Look, Watts didn't give a fuck.
If I had a tower office, I'd piss out the window.
Yeah, man, there's so much.
Yeah, I read the thread, Shane. There's some like clear your search history afterward. There's some deviant shit in there as well. Like
Paul Heyman's firing from WCW had to allegedly do with embezzlement of funds.
Absolutely.
The example being that he would have 2 sets of bills for road expenses, thus overcharging WCW.
Apparently, he was totally scamming the road expenses, and that's why the shit canned him.
Look, everyone knows Paul Heyman has a history of fucking embezzlement and all sorts.
Oh, man,
one of the most financially dubious promoters
of all time. Like, and that's on a list of financially dubious people.
I'll leave the link to this maybe underneath.
Yeah, we're definitely getting shadow banned.
And you can maybe I shouldn't.
There's some crazy ones in there.
Killer Khan stole a homeless man's hooch and threatened to give him a Mongolian chop.
I want to believe, and I do believe.
Owen Hart never drank, so Brett spiked his drink with halcyon, so he got totally wasted and passed out.
That's not true. Well, maybe
Bill DeMott did shit on Buff Bagwell's face while Buff was sleeping.
No doubt in my mind.
Especially with Bill DeMott.
There's a few mad Buff Bagwell ones in there as well.
Yeah, there's
Bill DeMott's done some weird shit involving like people getting fucking asses in the face, like
nasty motherfucker as well. Like,
yeah, there's a lot in here.
Yeah,
like even New Jack intentionally shoved Grimes towards the outside of the ring in XPW.
He admitted that.
He didn't. That's not conspiracy
theory.
Wasn't the phrase I wanted to kill that motherfucker?
Yeah, I wanted to kill the motherfucker. Yeah, that was
but this is like going back to the early 2000s.
It's just a list of things that are true.
Raven didn't wear clothes backstage at TNA until someone complained to prevent Dixie from seeing his cock.
True, I'd say.
Yeah, it's Raven. I interviewed the man. Very strange dude. Very strange.
With you?
No, he spent more time talking about Irish pagan rituals and nudity. So I believe that one.
Arn Anderson passed out in a bar in Georgia around 95. He was in a circular booth with a beer in his hand when he passed out. The funny thing is that even passed out, he held the beer in his hand only slightly tilted, never allowing a drop to hit the floor.
Yeah.
When the security came to take him outside, they woke him up. He pissed all over himself before calling them cocksuckers.
Yeah. It's Arn Anderson. He probably had a Glock in his pocket as well.
Arn Anderson is the most likely candidate for El Dandy.
I gotta leave it on this, all right? Sid Vicious used to take a squirrel with him everywhere. He went for some stupid reason, and one day a couple of wrestlers bet him he couldn't keep the squirrel down his pants for a minute. Sid accepted, and after about 30 seconds the squirrel bit him in the dick. Sid dropped on the floor in pain, crushing the squirrel in the process. He had to get rabies shots and stitches on his dick.
Do you ever feel like you would have fit in so well in a certain era of anything?
You would have had more squirrels out your pants.
I would have loved to have been a wrestler in the 80s, like on the territories.
But it's just like all these. You're kind of like all these people that you kind of look up to.
You would have lasted no time in fucking Puerto Rico.
Oh, that's one of the ones on it as well.
They had to break Bruiser Brody's knees to fit him in a Puerto Rican coffin.
Yeah. What the fuck? Yeah, that was dark.
Yeah, we ended it on a fun one, Morro, and then you ruined it.
Sorry. I love.
Well, I try and find another fun one.
I obviously love Bruiser Brody. I always thought we were ending on the El Generico Sami Zayn conspiracy theory as a fun one, but we shot our load too early on that.
Well, this has been the last episode of the Wrestling Fan Wrestling Show.
I feel like we've jumped the shark heavy today. Like,
yeah. Well, no, I like it.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, please air your distaste, leave negative, rancorous, conspiratorial comments.
Yeah.
Terry Gordy was all coked up one night working on his deck, and he fell and caught his nut.
Why are you all about somebody getting like dick injuries?
because it makes people like us laugh. And he caught his nutsack on a nail, ripping it off completely.
What?
In the same post, someone said they heard he actually cut his finger off in a coked up sawing accident. Not sure if either is true.
I believe both. It's Terry Gordy. The man nearly died in Japan because he overdosed on an airplane.
The man did die on an airplane, didn't he?
I think he was like clinically dead.
He was clinically dead,
for a period.
I think it was a thing where he was flying to Japan and like they have stringent drug laws, so he took all his drugs before the flight.
I think there was something on that, but he gave himself kind of a stroke, didn't he?
Yeah,
man, they're so fucking.
That's pre-executioner.
Anything about a ring boy scandal?
There's a lot in there.
There's a lot in that.
Yeah, like one of the bushwhackers once entered a shower and put his mouth around Adrian Adonis's penis. When Adrian jumped, the bushwhacker said, "Blew your gimmick, mate." What? Because Adrian Adonis played a...
Oh, yeah. That's kind of funny.
It is kind of funny. It is kind of funny.
I don't know. A Cleveland promoter and Jerry Lawler paid their boys with food stamps.
I believe that.
This is a fact.
Absolutely.
This is just a fact. Like, if you're working in Memphis, you're making the worst fucking...
I believe that
Worst
100%. 100%.
Okay, finally. The character of T.L. Hopper was created because of Pat Patterson's secret plunger fetish. Man, wrestling.
Can't end on that, can we?
Please don't end on that.
Or just let this
Jeff
end.
Jarrett wanted China to do him with a strap on, so...
Oh, come on! Okay, just let us end on a fucking high note of some
I
sort.
don't know, we tried to end on a high note.
Anything else involving squirrels?
Yeah.
We tried to end on a high note. Tensions had been brewing between Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart for months. They had a shout match in the locker room and Michaels just had to yell out, "What are you going to do about it?" Bret punched him, they rolled on the floor and Bret left with a clump of Shawn's hair. We knew this.
Yeah,
We know this.
that's not a conspiracy theory either.
I was just sick of
Well,
Shawn,
I don't
bro.
think that thread is a conspiracy thread. It's just a thread of
Stories.
A list of
Weird.
things that happened in
like
wrestling.
weird shit. Like
Yeah. Like very weird shit.
it's hard to find. The squirrel one was perfect.
What else? Any older ones?
Can we just like edit the squirrel one?
Was
in
was
now,
Ricky
like?
Johnson killed by the Yakuza?
Oh, that's the well, no.
Apparently, he was stabbed with a knife that was dipped with urine.
Yeah, but apparently the guy who did it was connected, but also the Yakuza liked Ricky Dozen. It wasn't a Yakuza
Like a
sanctioned
sanctioned hit.
hit, and the guy who did him in was handed over to the
was-
cops by the Yakuza.
It was like, it was based on a feud about a woman or something, was it?
Yeah, and in a bar after a show.
Yeah.
Ricky Dozen seemed like a hardy enough buck.
Your man
didn't
pissed
he?
on a knife anyway and I stabbed him with it.
Yeah.
Tommy Rich soaked his balls in a beer mug full of hydrogen peroxide.
Yeah, sure, why not?
Sure, yeah.
There we go. That's been the Wrestling Fan Wrestling Show. Thanks very much for listening. Comment,
Whatever,
like, subscribe.
Rage.
Yeah, rage. Annie, do you believe Annie? Let us know. Do you believe? Put on those tinfoil hats. I was raging. I was going to bring down a tinfoil hat to wear for the whole.
I found a witch's hat.
There's so many more of these to cover. We can do fucking part 2.
We can do a part 2. Do you want to
If
see
you
a part
want.
2?
We're getting kicked off the internet now, anyway.
No, we're just bringing the new.
messengers.
We're just the
done.
messengers. That's been the Wrestling Fan Wrestling Show. Like, subscribe, all that nonsense. Stay safe, stay sane. Oosh.